remember me telling you a while back about, of course, the BBC and a colleague of mine that's having an absolute battle trying to tell them that they no longer have a TV licence. Now, you would have thought with the BBC and the mess that it's in, with all the woke people working for them, all the nightmare of the Hugh Edwards saga, you would have thought they may have tried to get something on board. Guess what? No, this particular lady is still being bullied literally by daily letters from the BBC, threatening her with enforcement officers, threatening her with fines and prisons and stuff like that. And you just kind of think, hang on, this is the audience that would have bought, no doubt at some point, a TV licence, but clearly not anymore. Now, it's headlines like this that are literally making the people that did support the BBC switch off. You see what I mean? Train drivers are overwhelmingly white middle-aged men. Now, you know, you look at this and think, right, let's just have a look at this report, and you break it down. And what you actually find is it is a bit of a survey, you know, whatever they want to call it, regarding exactly the sort of people who are applying to be train drivers. But the BBC haven't bothered to go for that. They haven't looked at the source. They've just thought, oh, we'll just put that as a headline and really offend everybody who, literally, as we now know, around about 96% of Great Britain is white. It'd be like going to Pakistan and saying 96% of train drivers in Pakistan are brown. Why would that be a shock? The same in Nigeria. But of course, this is the BBC, always ready to bash Britain. The British bashing corporation, as I like to call them. Incredible when you think. When you go further down the line, people have obviously tried to correct the story, but the BBC have not bothered. This has been up there now for over 11 hours. And the reason why I tell you this is, it's a fascinating insight into just how badly run a corporation that gets millions of pounds free every single year from basically a tax from people that don't want to pay it anymore, simply because it's not what they want to watch. The BBC are not focusing on the audience that they had. But what's more interesting is this: they don't even bother to fact check their particular stories, because it also points out that, you know, you can't get women to be train drivers. Now, if you looked a little bit deeper, you'd find actually it's the rail unions, because they don't want part-time drivers. And obviously, if you're a lady and perhaps, you know, you have family that you want to part share or just do a few hours a week, well, actually, it's the rail union that is stopping you. Nothing to do, of course, with this particular story. But once again, the BBC are not too fussed about that. As I say, at the time of recording this, lots of people have complained about it, but nobody's taken it down. And if you think about divided Britain and how, of course, it tries to make people very divisive and not inclusive of what we try to be and what many of us would really like to be, if the biggest broadcasting corporation in the world can come up with headlines like this, and even when it's cited to them that it doesn't read well, they continue to leave it up, is it any wonder that more and more and more people are refusing to buy into the BBC television tax? That's the only way. And if it crumbles, really, they could look around each other, look around the people that they've employed who've decided to cause, well, conflict amongst what many people would say never really was there in the first place. As ever, I'd love to know what you think to this story. Is it, in my opinion, I think it's terrible, it should never have been made a headline, or do you agree with it? I mean, you know, it's always good to have that debate. Either way, please like, share and comment. Neil Sean, Lambeth Palace, London.